Melbourne. So I got to meet with a few different organizations. One in particular was a prison abolitionist group for women. And they later on invited me to present my undergraduate research about re-imprisonment patterns amongst black women in Chicago and how community services helped in reducing that. And I was able to present that during my last week in Melbourne, and I also got invited to be or to speak on two different radio shows. So that was really, really something I was not expecting. So yeah, time in Melbourne was really, really, really good. I also ended up connecting with a lot of Americans, and I think for most of my travel time, I've tried to avoid fellow Americans because it's really easy to kind of click up and not really immerse yourself within the surrounding community, which is why I'm on this project. So I didn't want to do that. I'm sorry. So I ended up making a lot more friendships from people back in the States who's either moved to Melbourne or plan on staying there permanently. And they've been really great friendships. They helped me a lot when I was kind of asked out in certain aspects or certain periods in my time in Melbourne. So I'm really appreciative of all those friendships, and I'm sad, of course, that I left now, and now I'm not sure when we'll connect again, which has been a theme throughout this entire travel and Watson. Like, you meet people, you form really great bonds, and then you have to leave, and you're like, oh shit. But neither here nor there. So in March, came to South Africa, started off in Johannesburg. Update on that. Shit got real. I mean, I'm really going to characterize this time in like Southern Africa as me embracing like discomfort and really trying to challenge myself in a lot of ways. Whereas I feel like I've really been living in a bubble of comfort for a majority of my Watson, which to me there's nothing wrong with to a certain extent, because that's something that I want to intentionally to stabilize myself. But then, oh, Brit, yay, thank you. But I'm just, yeah, I've been really trying to embrace discomfort and really push myself, and I think Southern Africa has really helped me do that tremendously. So with that in mind, like Johannesburg, I stayed there for 2 weeks. I moved to like three different spots. In one spot, I was close to the University of Johannesburg, and then I ended up moving to Southern Johannesburg, and then I ended up moving to a suburb um, close to Rosebank, and each like part are drastically different from one another. Like the first place where I say that was by the university, majority white, educated South Africans and a lot of expat or people who recently moved to Johannesburg. And then in Southern Johannesburg, completely black, like working class, lower class, like it felt really like Africa, whereas or whatever imagination I have about Africa. Whereas just like its markets is busy, like people are negotiating in the streets. Whereas like in Rosebank, which felt like I was in fucking Europe, like literally me and my friend would like walk to malls, and the malls would be bigger than the malls in the U.S. And then you'll go on the next block, and you're like standing in a fucking piazza, which looks like Italy, and then you walk down another block, it looks like New York. Like there was a lot of like westernized infusion, and you're just like, am I in Africa right now? And that space was also majority white as well, and upper class. So each spaces were very segregated from one another, which is interesting. I mean, in thinking about the history of apartheid and how really recent that was, because I think in discussions about it, it seemed like so long ago, but literally it ended in the early 90s, like during my lifetime, and you still kind of see the remnants of it when you're there. So there was like huge segregation, and not only that, for me, it was one of those spaces where I felt really unsafe as a woman. Um, like in one aspect, there's not a lot of like mixed spaces within the inner city of mixed gender and racial spaces within the inner city of Johannesburg. So a lot of the pubs or clubs or any public spot would be all men. And if me as a woman would walk in, it would kind of like turn like dinner is served right now, and it's just it felt really uncomfortable just constantly being the only woman in these spaces, and there was clear tension as to, why are you here? And if you do decide to stay here, you're kind of opening up yourself for like possible, repercussions that you don't want to have. So for me, it was just like not being able to go out as much as I want, as I've been used to in my westernized world, and literally having a curfew, like having to be in before the street lights come on. Like I'm not used to that shit. So, and then not only that, just having limited modes of transportation to get around. So in South Africa or in Johannesburg specifically, we had to take like these mini buses, which looked like the child molester vans, and literally they would fit like 10 or 15 people in there, and that's how they would do routes. So that was like the main way of getting around. But after a certain time, like even those vans would be mostly men. And again, you're just like, okay, traveling at night, like I really can't take minibuses. I can't really go to like certain spaces. It was just like a not wasn't a lot of safe spaces. And the only time I did, see mixed gender and sometimes mixed racial spaces were in like the predominantly white areas, funny enough. So it was just like really something that I wasn't used to, and it was difficult to navigate. And also, got my phone stolen. My own fault in Pretoria. So I got to go to Pretoria, saw the Mandela statue, big as shit, really great. Took like thousands of pictures with my friends. Took thousands of pictures, but it was pretty great, really great. And then from there, me and my friend decided to do some more traveling throughout South Africa. So from there, went to Durban, which was like it's a pretty city. Like I wish I could go during the summertime because it's mostly like beachfront area. So you just walk along the beach most of the time. It's a beautiful beach. It's a really nice, chill, laid back area. It was also different than Johannesburg too because it's just like it was more predominantly black as well there, and we did get to see like mixed gender spaces, like women being out after night. But funny enough, those women were like prostitutes. So it's just like, okay, the only time when we do go outside and see like women after hours, they would be like sex workers or prostitutes. So that was interesting to see. And then from Durban, ended up moving to Cape Town. Spent like a week and a half in Cape. Um, Cape was really beautiful. Like Cape, I think because it allowed me the ability to return to like my comfort zone. Like it was a lot of mixed gender spaces, and granted we were like really close by a tourist area, so there was a lot of people who would mix and mingle. There was a lot of bars. I became like even more of a coffee whore. Like literally, y'all, I'm addicted to coffee. So whenever my birthday come up, please just give me some good quality coffee, and I would love you forever. But neither here nor there. Like it was a really chill space. Like really enjoyed Cape Town. Like it wasn't as apparently segregated, but you saw a lot more mixture of like whites, blacks, coloreds, um, and it was just overall good vibe. It felt like I was in like it felt like a first world country somewhere to some degree. So that was pretty good. And then me and my friend ended up deciding to join this trip to Lesotho, and that's when shit is really got real. So originally the trip was supposed to be like a 3-day hike through God knows where, this like historic walking path, and then along that path or along those 3 days we will walk to neighboring villages and shit, and like basically live out in the goddamn nature for 3 days. Again, this is me like breaking out my comfort zone, because in oh thank you. So this is me like trying to break out of my comfort zone, and I'm like shit. um so end up doing did not do the 3-day hike. We end up getting to Lesotho, met up with like a couch surfer, and basically ran our plans by her. And she was like, actually, people only do this path during like specific times. This isn't really, a popular time to do it, you could do it, but I think you would be better off doing like another route or something like that. And then like she provides some suggestions, and we, discussed as a group like if that would be something we want to do. Cool. So end up what we end up doing. Okay, so we kind of came to some other agreement that we wouldn't do the 3 day hike, but we would go to Summicon Village and then see the Summicon like fall, and let alone this village, and then we would do some hiking around there and things like that. So end up going like Simicon Village, like y'all, this is real. Like I'm actually still here. Like where it's in the mountains, like in the mountains. So getting up here, we almost died multiple times. Like almost drove off cliffs, twice. And then the roads are shit, like they're dirt roads, which is typical for like some underdeveloped African countries or whatever. My first time experiencing this. So we're only in our like Volkswagen. Like this car was not made for like traveling down no real life jacked up roads. So end up doing that after being like lost and just like completely out of our shits for like for like an hour or so. We decided like, okay, let's go to the nearest lodge or something, figure out our next plans from there. So end up going to Simicon Lodge, and then end up again negotiating about staying here until and then go to the falls from here, and then the next day we will leave or something and go visit someone else. So yeah, man, we end up doing that, end up seeing Simicon Falls. I like nearly shit my pants because I have like a huge fear of heights, so I literally had to walk to like crawl to on all fours to this spot where I could see the falls, and I literally had to push myself to do that, and literally had a panic attack once I got to that spot, and then had another panic attack when my friends had to come get me, and then we had to like climb up it, yeah, and then almost on the way back to like our campsite, slipped, foot went in some mud. The mud literally went up to like my thigh. So almost went, I don't even know what the hell you call it, deep sand, deep mud, some shit like that. So also I apologize. This is a long video, but it's such a long update. So end up doing that, making the walk back. Along the way we met like some locals or whatever, two teachers. They helped us get back because the guys we went with left our ass. So we're like, okay. And then we covered, chat with them about, life around here and things like that. So end up making it back, end up camping outside because again, trying to be all adventurous and shit like that. Shit, like like it. I've never been so cold in my life, and I lived in Minnesota. Like I literally could not sleep that night. I was going through convulsions and like asthma attacks all in what it was like struggle city to another. End up doing that, was tired as shit. Me and my friend decided to like stay here while the other guys like went and did a hike, 5 hour hike or whatever. So then we end up, we decide maybe we should go visit like the local town or wherever that we passed by on our way getting up here, just to walk around and see shit. So end up doing that. That was another just like traumatizing experience. So literally we walked to town. Things were fine. And then we would notice, like, every now and then there'd be a group of guys that would be, like, shouting at us or chanting. We figured, like, they were catcalling. Cool, cute, haha. Kept moving. And then to a certain point, we encountered, like, a group of kids. And then my friend, like, approached them and was like, yeah, what's going on? Why are you guys standing around? One of the girls or kids there was like, oh, we're on strike. And my friend's like, what you're on strike for? And the girl kept insisting like she doesn't speak English when she clearly was speaking English to us, and carrying on a conversation. And then out of the blue, something happened. Like the kids started surrounding us, and then at some point, I saw like one of the older kids actually looked like a grown man, like waving for more people to come over. And by this time, I'm like, shit, I'm leaving. I'm turning around. I tell my friend like, I think it's time to go. She's like, no, I think shit is cool. And I'm like, okay. So then we're getting more surrounded. And I'm like, fuck this. So I start walking. We're walking back.